right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Center for Creativity for the kickoff of the Fall I Can't workshops and the 10th anniversary of this series. My name is Anina Collier. I'm the Dean of the Center for Creativity, and whether you're here in person or watching us on the live stream, we are so glad you are here. I am thrilled that the I Can't series has become this popular. I will tell you something funny. When I began this series 10 years ago, I used to require my staff to attend because I was so worried that we wouldn't have people showing up. And now we have so many people. I love seeing this full room. So yeah, there we go. Give yourselves a hand. So as pretty much all of you know who are here, we are now strongly suggesting registration. If you register, you're guaranteed a spot. If you don't register, we'll do our best to accommodate you. And I will tell you that obviously this workshop is full today. Some of the other visual arts workshops later in the series are almost full. So if you haven't registered for them yet, we really encourage you to do so. The workshop at 11 is I Can't Archive with Tulsa Foundation for Architecture, so we really hope you'll stay for that. Before I introduce our partner, I want to make sure everyone in this room knows about Tulsa Achieves. If you don't, this is 2 years of free college for every Tulsa County high school student, that's public, private, or homeschool, who graduates with a 2.0 GPA or higher. Yes, thank you, yes. This is an amazing program where every student that I just mentioned can receive an associate's degree debt-free. Those associate's degree can transfer on to four-year degrees and beyond. This is a national model for free higher education for a community. You might be thinking, what's the catch? There is no catch. It's exactly what it sounds like. So if you have a young person in your life, please pick up one of these Tulsa Achieves postcards on the way out and make sure they know about this opportunity. We also have the whole I Can't series brochure out there too, so get it. And now, I cannot tell you how indebted we are to 108 Contemporary and the wonderful, beautiful, talented Laurel Ryan. We overbooked this workshop on accident. And I emailed Laurel and said, Laurel, we might have up to 100 people. And I'm really, really sorry. And she not only worked to get extra supplies, but she mobilized the crochet hook heroes here. These wonderful women, I think we're all women, are all here from 108 to help you learn how to crochet, to answer your questions. They are volunteers who were mobilized at the last minute to bring their crochet hooks and come in and help everyone learn. So again, I just really want to thank 108 Contemporary, Laurel, and all the volunteers who came out last minute to help make this workshop a success. 108 Contemporary, Laurel will tell you a little bit more about it, but it is a gallery in the Arts District. Be sure to pick up one of these brochures. It's free to enter, and so you can go look around. They have incredible exhibits and a really cool gift shop, so please support 108. With that, I am so happy to turn it over to Laurel Ryan.
Thank you so much, Anina, and thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to, I'll actually keep that crochet hook because I realized I didn't get the proper size for myself. Always be prepared. That's my motto, and I don't stick to it. I'm very excited to have you all here. Now, before we get started, a few things to know. If anybody is in one of these 108 Contemporary aprons, they are here to answer questions. So since we have this lovely live stream going for the folks at home, I'm going to be staying up here, but crochet is something that is often learned in community, and so our community of volunteers is here to answer individual questions. If you need any help getting started, if you're stuck, if things get tangled, they also have scissors when the time comes. So we just didn't have enough for all of you, so they're the ones with the scissors today. So please don't be shy. They're here, eager to help, and we're very grateful for them. what is crochet? Crochet actually comes from the French term for this hook. It's a crochet. That's my full degree in French coming. That's all I can do is say crochet and sound like I've said that word before in France. But it's really the term for the hook, and it's a matter of using this hook to make loops and knots in your fiber of choice, and you end up with a textile. So before we get further into it, has anybody ever worked with, show of hands, has anybody worked with yarn before in other capacities? All right, so we've got some textile artists. Has anybody ever, some textile experimenters, is that a better term? Has anyone ever watched your relatives or friends crochet before? Observed it in person? Okay. Has any of you ever attempted to learn crochet before? All right. We're in good company. So has anybody ever, you just walked in here with a mind open and blank and ready to do whatever? We've got some folks. All right. Intrepid adventurers. All right. So today we're going to just be making a simple square. That's all. And whether it's actual square or something that approximates a square, that's cool too, because we are getting into this. The first time we do anything is going to be amateurish, right? So I have some different examples of, these were my attempts when we were choosing yarn. We went with this blanket yarn, which most of you will have, because I thought it's easier to not worry about splitting the fibers. If you have this type of yarn, then you'll just have to make sure that you don't actually go through the fibers like this. But let's get started. So we are going to find a tail end of our yarn. And whether it comes from the center of your little ball or from the outside, it does not really matter. The first thing we've got to do to get started is make a little knot and a loop. So I'm going to grab about a palm's length of yarn and then loop the yarn twice around my finger. Can we get there? Looping the yarn twice around our finger. And then, you might have actually done this as a kid to like finger crochet or finger knit. We're going to bring this back loop forward over the front loop, and then bring what is now the back loop around our finger and pull. And now we have a knot. I'll do that one more time. And again, remember, we've got our volunteers here to help out. So I'm looping around twice. I pull the back loop over the front loop, and then I pull what is now the back loop all the way around my finger. And this knot is adjustable. So I'm going to adjust it to be about tight enough to not run away from me, but loose enough that I can easily get my hook through it. So we are now here. We've got our hook through our loop. And how we hold our hook is going to depend on your physical comfort and preference. Some people hold it like a pencil. Some people, there's this thumb divot. And some people, am I in frame? I can't. Great, okay. Some people like to put their thumb and finger around it like this. However you hold it, as long as you've got a firm grip on it without white knuckling it, then you're set. So we've got our hook through our loop, and we're going to start with a chain stitch. And a chain stitch is simply grabbing some yarn with our hook. We also call this yarning over, which is simply putting your yarn over your hook, and then we're going to pull through. And that's your first chain. You're already crocheting, baby. I'll do that again because we're gonna make 10 chains. We're gonna yarn over and then pull through. Again, now's a great time to call on our volunteers if we're having trouble. And I like to, this is again personal preference, I like to hold on to my chain because mine tends to kind of wibble wobble. I hold on to my chain with my left hand. You might have noticed I'm right-handed. Crochet is something that can be done with either hand. We might have some left-handed crocheters in here, I don't know. But either way, as long as you're yarning over and pulling through. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I need to make 7 more. 4, 5, and these aren't too tight. Now the temptation can be to make it really tight. We don't want this super tight. We're gonna keep it nice and relaxed. And I just lost count. The thing about crochet is that you've got to be able to count, and it's very humbling to people like me who might learn as an adult that counting is tough. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the yarn that is on your hook does not count as a stitch. It's not what part of your chain. So if you are wanting to count your chains, you can either count from the side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or when counting chains, my preferred way is to count the bumps, which is referred to as the back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you've got your foundation chain. It doesn't need to be perfect, but this is just what we need to get started. Now, when reading a pattern, sometimes they'll tell you to make a chain, and then when it's time to... You can't hear? Is this better? Thank you for letting me know. It also means that I don't have to try and project as much. I can whisper to you. I will not do this whole thing as the whisper song. It is not. I'm not a yin-yang twin. When reading a pattern, sometimes you might see something like chain 10, and then for getting started on the body of your work, it'll say chain 2 and the name of your next stitch. Sometimes it'll say chain 10 and then insert your hook into 2 stitches away, 2 chains from your hook, and then start. So it really depends on the pattern that you're reading as far as how many chains you do and if that's the complete number or if you're going to actually add a couple before you get started. For our purposes, we're going to say that this is all we're doing, and then we're going to go back 1, 2 from our hook. So again, what's on our hook does not count as a chain. I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to insert my hook, keeping this yarn, this loop on my hook, into my chain. Boom. So when we are talking about inserting hooks, and this is where I'll call on our volunteers. Volunteers, do you prefer to insert your hook into the side, into one of these loops, or into the back loop typically? Side, side, side. I might be unusual in that I prefer, you do back, I also typically will do the back loop. This is to say that there's no one way to do this. So wherever you insert your hook, just make it consistent. If you do on the side, do that. If you do on the back, keep with that. But we're going to go 1, 2, or 1, 2, and then insert our hook. So we should be here. And from here, we're going to start our single crochet stitch. For our single crochet stitch, we want to yarn over and pull through. So I will still have 2 loops on my hook. I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to insert my hook, 1, 2 stitches away from my hook, yarn over, pull through, and I will have 2 loops on my hook. The next step is to yarn over again. All right? Then I'll just put this on repeat. Okay? We're going 1, 2. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through. Start again. 1, 2, away from my hook. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through. I will also say, however you hold on to your yarn is more personal preference. I've seen some folks weave it in and out of their fingers. Some people will hold it like this. My grip tends to change throughout a project, which may be why sometimes they end up a little wonky, because this is how we control typically our tension. And again, we're just trying to keep this a little loose, a little easy breezy. So to start again, we have gone into our 8th chain, insert hook, yarn over, pull through. The question was, do our stitches stay on our hook? Unlike knitting or a version of crochet called Tunisian crochet, which is kind of a cross between the 2 fiber arts, usually we only have a few loops on our hook. So right now we should have 2 because we're halfway through our single crochet stitch, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. So then by the time we have finished our single crochet stitch, we only have 1 loop left on our hook. So I'll go back to my chain and I'll show you the whole thing smoothly. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through. So you'll have 2 loops. Yarn over and then pull through both. So a single crochet stitch, I'll do another one, because you're going to just fill the rest of your chain with single crochet stitches. Find the next space, the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and then pull through both loops. And that's my next single crochet stitch. I'm going to keep going. If you are stuck, again, please feel free to call on our volunteers. I'm going to do this over and over until I get to the end. Find my next space, insert my hook and yarn over, pull through, yarn over one more time, and pull through 2 loops. Insert hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Find the next chain, insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. Oh, let me introduce you to my absolute favorite term in crochet, and that is called frogging. Frogging is when you go, ugh, 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 I messed it up, and you just start pulling. You know, sometimes you gotta start over or go back. You skip a stitch, you drop a stitch, you get tangled, you forget where you are in your counting. You can just start pulling your working yarn and go all the way back. And the number of times that I have to do this per project are, frankly, I'd say embarrassing, but I think that's a universal crochet experience. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, I want to keep them nice and loose. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. And you might notice me as I am yarning over for the first time, kind of adjusting my project as I go. I find that this just helps me as a learning crocheter keep an eye on where my stitches are and trying to keep my project as even as possible. Because we can always adjust a little bit as we are stitching. Insert hook. All right, I've come to my last one. Insert hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's the end of my first row. So if I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches. Now I'm going to count that again because we've already established I have problems with counting. So if I count from up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches. So I've reached the end of my first row. If you're not there yet, don't worry about it. There's a reason why crochet is typically learned in community. It's because we can chit and chat about it and complain about how our stitches aren't working out right while somebody next to us goes, maybe try this, you know? I happen to learn from several YouTube videos while watching Murder, She Wrote, because it was a gentle show that you can easily pause, text somebody a screenshot of a terrible toupee, and then click over to that tutorial to rewind and watch in half speed, you know? And I'm going to assume that we're not here yet. So I'm going to hang out here. And if you are here and you're ready to go, we'll get there. In the meantime, I'll tell you about some other crochet things. You might have noticed that there's a number on your crochet hook, 8 millimeters. That's the size of your hook. The larger the number, typically the larger the hook. This is a 10 millimeter. This is a 6 millimeter. And this is a 3.75 millimeter. So the size of your hook compared to the thickness or weight of your yarn is going to determine how, in part, how tightly woven or how loose your project is. Smaller needles are typically used for a lighter weight of yarn, aka thinner yarn. And then, as you saw, these larger ones are for larger hooks.
Are any of our lovely volunteers left-handed? No. Okay. Sorry, lefties.
I will assure you, if you're struggling and you're left-handed, there are resources online specifically for left-handed crocheters. So you are legion, but if you're the type who does that, can easily flip that thing in your mind today, then wonderful. And if not, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If you are here and you have crocheted into all of your chain stitches, let's move on to the next row. So to build upwards, we've got a chain 1. So I'm just yarning over and pulling through. This is called our turning chain. You can also flip your project over and chain then, which is probably the better way. So let me go back. With my hook inserted, I'm going to turn over my project, and I'm going to try to turn it the same way every time. So I flipped it this way. Next time, I'm going to flip it that same way. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through. So I have a turning chain, and this just gives me enough length to start my single crochet again. So right next to this turning chain, I should have a space. So in my stitches, we have a post, which is that looped and knotted yarn, and then we have a space. I'm going to go into the first space and start single crocheting again. Insert hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through, 2. And we are getting started on our second row. So we've got row 1, foundation chain, now we're on row 2. I'll go back, frog it a little bit. All right, here we were, I'm turning over, making 1 chain, finding that space, and doing a single crochet stitch. Insert hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. I've started abbreviating my speech as though I am a talking pattern, but this will hopefully prepare you for reading crochet patterns. Insert, hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that in every space. So we should have the same number of stitches as we did on the previous row. We had 9 stitches, we're going to have 9 stitches again. I just did 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. This is number 5. This is number 6. Number 7. Just found a dog hair from my dog. Get that out of there. Number 8. And number 9. And the number 9, this part looks a little curved. That's still your space. Right in there. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over 2, or yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're starting to look a little bit more like a rectangle, which, as we know, is the beginning of a square. And so I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my previous row. We're now in a repeating process. We get to the end of a row, we turn our project, chain 1, and then we start single crocheting again. So I'm crocheting, for me, because I'm right-handed, I'm continually crocheting right to left. If you're left-handed and you're crocheting left to right, you're going to keep doing that. But I'm right-handed, so I'm going right to left. So I've chained one, find that first space, and then I do 9 single crochets, 1 in each space. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Remember, if you aren't quite there yet, work at your own pace. I won't tell you how long it took me to figure out, again, from my couch in my pajamas watching Murder, She Wrote, how long it took me to figure out how to do just a square, but it was longer than 45 minutes. So I think you all are working at an incredible pace, racehorses of crochet in this metaphor. You are not equine in any physical sense. So I'm going to continue building up my rows with single crochet, turning and adding a chain stitch at the end of every row until I have something that is square-ish. So the question is, what about flipping it the same way? So if I've been turning as though I'm reading a book, turning my project this way each time. Now, if I had turned it the other way from the end away from my hook, then I would want to make sure that every time I flip my project, I do it that same way. Yeah. And now is when I'm asking myself, did I skip a stitch? All right, I've got to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at these clumps of yarn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then my turning chain. Okay, I'm good. I'm going to flip. I'm now on row 3. I'm going to chain 1. And then start my 3rd row. For those of you who came in late, I will say the yarn that we have specifically is called blanket yarn. It's a somewhat recent, when you consider the, the millennia long history of crochet, it's a relatively new invention. But you cannot split this yarn, these fibers, as opposed to a more traditional yarn where you could accidentally pierce them with your hook. If you picked up some of this type of yarn, which is lovely and soft, as you work, just be mindful that you're not accidentally piercing your yarn. It just makes it a little bit more difficult if you have to do my favorite thing of frogging, undoing your yarn. And if you have a more complex stitch as you continue your crochet journey, then that can kind of mess with the finished stitch. All right, I've reached end of row 3. I'm going to turn over. chain 1, pull, and then start single crocheting row 4. And I can count my rows by, I can kind of see these chunks. And because we keep turning, our right and wrong side, so to speak, change. So this is a double-sided textile. Friends, we're doing great work. But I'm counting my rows. 1, kind of looking for the ridges. 2, this is a big chunk here. 3. I'm now on row 4, and I'm just repeating this process. Single crochet, inserting my hook in a space, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. When I was first learning, the way that this builds didn't make a lot of sense to me, so I used to hold my crochet, I'd insert my hook and then I'd hold it vertically, because for some reason that was the way that I needed to look at it in order to understand how this works. Because even though I'm moving my crochet hook this way, the stitches are building up, they're stacking this way, so it messed with my brain at first. So, however you need to hold your project, go for it. I'm on row 4, and I'm just using my finger to find these spaces. Insert hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Keeping things nice and loose. And I can tell that I'm at my last one. And that's the end of row 4. I'm going to turn my project, chain 1, and just based on the amount of yarn that I have left, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get all the way to a square. I'm going to see how much I can do, but I don't think that this is enough for me to go all the way across. Just for fun, though, I'm going to try it out. We'll see. Usually, when you are learning to crochet, you've got a full skein of yarn to work from. So I will say, when you are working on projects on your own, don't pre-cut your yarn unless you're changing colors. And we're not covering that right now. That's too much. And I don't have enough to do anymore. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this was my turning chain. 4 stitches out of fragment. This much yarn. So say if you have about this much, don't worry about doing any more. This is now my sample size. Done. And we're coming close, not here to alarm anyone, we're coming close to the end of our time together. So I'll just say that a couple of nice things about crochet are that you can kind of do it anywhere. I made this sample while I was walking around 108 Contemporary last night. We're open late for First Fridays. So I was, and then I used the extra to chain a little loop. And ta-da, a coaster or something. I've also crocheted in the passenger seat of cars. crocheted while on a plane. It is a very mobile activity. So you need a pair of snips, a hook. If you're not close to the end of your project, you don't even need to bring a needle with you. But I'll show you what to do if you are close to the end of the project. So let's pretend that this is all I ever wanted to do. Let me go back one. All right, before I come to the end of my row, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, and to finish, instead of leaving yarn on my hook, I'm going to pull my yarn all the way through on my very last stitch. So I don't chain another one, I pull it all the way through. And then, here's what our needle is for. So I've pulled all the way through on my last stitch, and then I'm going to thread my needle. Hot tip, for a thick yarn and a thin needle eye, I like to fold it over the needle and pull up a little bit so there's some tension, and then pinch that folded part, and then I can shove that through the eye of my needle instead of trying to just poke it through. So I'm folding over and threading my needle, leaving a tail. And then I'm going to finish my project by sewing in the tails of my thread. And here's where our volunteers and their scissors will come in handy. So there's not a specific way to do this. It's not a set pattern for sewing in your ends. I'm just trying to make sure that I zigzag it a little bit so that it's less likely to come undone. I'm gonna go this way, that way. I don't have to do the whole thing, just enough so that it's not falling apart. And then, so once I've zigzagged through, I can come back and I can snip the excess. And then I'll do that to the tail that we started with from the other end. I'll weave that back into my project. And whether you do this on the front side or the back side depends on you, depends on the project. Right now, it doesn't really matter. We're just trying to hide those ends. Should have given myself a little more leeway, and then I'm gonna go back the other way. Snip off my excess. Remember, our volunteers have scissors. And there's a sample. It's a little wobbly, but you're gonna see crochet patterns ask you to make a swatch. A swatch is just a square of your pattern, whether it's single crochet, double crochet, other stitches, a little larger than the size. It might say 4 by 4 equals 8 stitches, 12 rows. And you're gonna wanna measure from the middle as opposed to the edges. So you're gonna make it a little bigger and then check to see if the way that you're doing it and the way that the pattern does it aligns. There are more resources online for how to adjust accordingly, but we are out of time. So I encourage you to stay for the I Can't archive with the Tulsa Foundation for Architecture, and also come see us at 108 Contemporary. We are just across the bridge, sandwiched between the Woody Guthrie Center and the Bob Dylan Centers. Beautiful handmade work in our shop And also in our exhibitions right now, the exhibition's 2 artists, Nick Annette Miller and Haley Nichols, and they have absolutely incredible and engaging work. And there's also always an I Spy, which is kind of a scavenger hunt that you and anybody younger can do while you're in the gallery. And we have craft kits, little take-home experiences for anyone who completes the I Spies. There's also going to be, starting first Friday in October, we will have an exhibition that contains some crochet, knitting, and embroidery. So please come see us then. Thank you so much, everyone. Remember that this is a journey, not a destination. Keep crocheting, keep trying. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Laurel. Laurel, what are they keeping and what are they returning to the table, supply-wise?
Your hook, your needle, your yarn, and your handout are yours.
Oh, thank you, 108. All right, so you are welcome to, just in case you didn't hear, you're welcome to keep all the supplies. Your crochet journey has begun. Another huge thank you to all of our crochet hook heroes. Ladies, thank you so much. There is no way this could have happened without you. We appreciate you. We appreciate 108 and the lovely Laurel Ryan. One more round of applause for her.
Thank you so much.
Definitely stick around for Tulsa Foundation for Architecture's I Can't Archive. It's going to be great. If you need to use the restroom, there are restrooms here. There's a gender-neutral restroom over here. And come back to the Center for Creativity. Volunteers, if I have your bag, you can meet me at this door and we will go get it. Thank you.